Jeff. How you doing today?
Great, JJ. How are you guys?
Thanks. I'm good. Thanks for joining us. What's the excitement like headed into this spring for you guys? This time last year, you guys got canceled out. You guys must be excited to get things going.
We are. We've had a lot of time. We pushed it back. Um, we just felt like, because last year we were still very behind on our conditioning and strength and nutrition and just body fat, body composition. And we really wanted to focus on that. So the more time I could buy Philo, the better we thought it was. And we're finishing up our mat drills tomorrow, finished up competition today. And we're really excited. We are.
Okay, Evan.
I'm out. Okay. Coach, after that successful year last year, how are the guys handling that success? And, going back to your days as a high school coach, you understand that grind of making it all the way and having to redo it the next year. Just what's your message to keep them, I guess, not, falling back on that previous success?
Well, we've talked about it quite a bit, Evan. It was almost the perfect situation for us when it comes to the expectations were zero, and our culture of our locker room was extremely, extremely high. We had an unbelievable team chemistry, and no one expected us to do anything. So 0 preseason all conference, picked last in the conference, basically picked last in the country other than UMass, and then they dropped out. So we were basically last, right? So our expectations were zero. Well, now we know all that's changed. So our big challenge is going to be, will our culture, match our expectations? And if you want to be very honest, we probably won 3 games, just went out there and beat them, right? The other 4 came down to the last play. Now, you could arguably say we could have been 12-0, but you could also arguably say we could have been 3-9. So we weren't that far away from being either team. So I think it is fair that we're realistic. But I doubt our expectations are going to be very realistic next year, to be honest.
Yeah. And then also, what does it mean to have those super seniors back? And I feel like you were able to retain a good chunk of them. And that has to give you some solace, just knowing that you have that continuity entering next year, because continuity was not in the cards last year.
Yeah, that's what we challenged each one. I didn't want any of them back unless they were committed to raising our culture to a whole nother level. I thought we were extremely successful for a first-year team in establishing our culture. But the hardest part is the next part, right? One of my favorite books, is From Good to Great. And there's a lot of good companies. There's a lot of good football teams. There's very, very few great companies. There's very, very few great football teams. Can we really take that next step? That's what I challenged all 12 of those kids. Each one of those young men have committed to doing that, and they've held up their end of the deal so far.
And then finally, is there someone who came in as a freshman that we should keep an eye on, someone that's impressing really early? And I know you haven't really done much, but at least something that Philo has said, like, hey, this is a kid that might be able to contribute early and often.
Are you meaning like at midterm guys that might have come in in January? We only had two freshmen come in, and we had 5 older kids. So we had 7 that joined us. The 2 freshmen are Eddie Lee Marburger, our quarterback, and a linebacker, Caden Holt. We've been extremely, extremely impressed with both of those young men already. They should be getting ready for their senior prom, and they're out there doing competition and mat drills right now. Obviously, the 5 older kids, we would expect those kids to come in ready to play. That's when we brought them in. But we're very impressed with Caden and Eddie Lee so far.
Thank you, Coach.
Hey, Chase, you're up.
Hey, Coach, yeah, kind of touching on what JJ was asking earlier. You take the job 18 months ago last year, and you're getting ready for your first spring ball. Just the anticipation for doing this, and then how much does spring ball benefit you guys in the long run when you have this extra couple of months with these guys that you really missed out on last year?
Well, there's a couple of things. We got some objectives, all right? With my older kids that I know can play because I've already coached them, we've got to take it to a whole nother level as far as scheme. We've got to get more bullets in the gun defensively, offensively, special teams wise. So we're really going to try to stress that for those 15 practices. For our younger kids, we've got to get depth. We've got to get some real depth. We were just so close last year. I mean, you could look at our roster and tell where we were very, very thin. It was scary thin in quite a few spots. Now, we were pretty fortunate because other than the quarterback position, we were pretty much injury-free last year. COVID got us, weeks at a time, but we didn't really have major injuries. So that was a blessing last year. We had to be deep enough when we come out of the spring by developing our young players that we feel really confident that we could handle a few injuries.
And, Evan asked about the newcomers. What about some of the guys, the returners? Has Coach Philo pointed out anybody that's made any huge leaps this offseason as far as weight room and conditioning and stuff, that maybe big body transformations, anything like that?
All of our kids had, to be very honest with you. We're very excited about how much better our bodies look as compared to last year. But I'd speak more on just the ownership of our seniors. I think Chuck Wiley is, really coming on as a leader for us. That's been impressive. Our offensive line, all those kids are coming back. They have really taken on your D-line and O-line. Our depth has really gotten better there. The super seniors coming back on the O-line helped us the depth there. And then on the D-line, we brought in, Ronald Triplett, Brandon Brown. Those are kids that are going to make us have depth on the D-line pretty quick. We brought in a linebacker, Noah Mitchell, going to give us depth at linebacker immediately. We brought in a defensive back from Texas A&M, Clifford Chapman. It's going to make us better, immediately. So we're really excited about the 7 kids that have joined us, but our older kids and, the ownership that, Hunter Duplessis came back as a kicker. He's a great leader on our football team. Each one of those seniors, we've really challenged. Clarence Hicks, Antonio Parks, Dominic Festucci. I know Dom was a backup last year on the O-line, but he's an unbelievable important part of our team. Jalen Galmore, our right tackle. Again, more depth on the offensive line. We really have got to get all those kids up to speed and ready to play. And so I don't know that there's like one person, Chase, that Philo would mention, because all of them have done, just a fantastic job of really coming on. Zachary Franklin would be a guy I would say has also done that because, he was injured all last year. Remember, he didn't get to play early because of his back, so he didn't get to train at all. He's added quite a bit of body mass. He looks better. So, but all of them really have, Chase.
Last thing, any motto, slogan for spring ball that you come up with yet?
No, what you'll hear the most from our guys is just as the expectations rise, our culture has to rise and match it as well. I don't want to be a guy that's a mile wide and only about an inch deep. Our words are our words. Our mottos it's going to be #210 triangle of toughness again. The biggest difference is going to be instead of me teaching it all the time and my coaches teaching it all the time, our players are now going to be the ones teaching it. Our kids that are in those single digits are going to be the one teaching it. Our super seniors are going to be the one teaching it. Coach Traylor is going to step back some. Our coaches are going to step back some. Philo's going to step back some. That's already started happening. There's already been a transition of me passing the torch, per se, that our players are going to teach our culture, and our seniors, our older kids, are going to hold our younger kids accountable. That's going to be the biggest difference, I would say, between this year and last year.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, Greg, you're next.
Jeff, is the overall approach to spring practice any different just because you have so many returning guys? Does that allow you to structure things differently or come in with different kind of goals?
Yeah, I think that's fair to say. I mean, we have, I would say 95 to 98% of our players back that played. So I think it's necessary for us to add some stuff. One, for their excitement of their own brains, to be excited about learning something new, right? But how many of y'all think Louisiana Tech or North Texas or UAB or Southern Miss studied us last summer or last spring? They didn't even look at us, right? Well, I have a feeling there's going to be some guys paying attention to us this offseason, studying us. So we're going to have to be ahead of the curve because we know people are going to treat us a little more seriously.
Do you have to be careful with how much new stuff you put in just to make sure it can carry over through the summer and the fall? Or how do you sort of weigh what's the right amount of things to add at a time like this?
Yeah, it's a great question. It's always a fine line. There's really nothing new going in. It's just modifications. Same as is a word we like to use around here. It's different, but it's the same as, right? It's just a different presentation, but we're getting back to the very same play, same blitz, same pressure. It just is going to look differently, we hope.
And you mentioned the 7 newcomers that are able to get integrated this spring. Is that a good number of guys? Would you want to have more, or is that kind of the amount that you look for to get in at this time, or how do you evaluate that?
Yeah, it's just always what your roster needs. We were very, very thin, and we had to get some immediate needs in here, and we felt like we did that, especially at linebacker. I mean, what Trevor and Jamal did and Tyler Monkey was amazing last year. Those 3 kids held up. And then, we lost Jamal during the bowl game. So that was an answered prayer, to be honest with you, that we made it through, and quite arguably the most physical position that those kids made it through. So getting Noah and Caden in here, we've got to develop Avery. We've got to get Magnus Kirby to come on. Those are guys that have got to come on for us young kids. And so I think that would vary every year. I don't think like 7's a magic number. It's just what we thought we needed to get in here. Anytime you get your high school quarterback in here in January, that's a blessing. Any high school kid that come in January, that's awesome, because their growth is exponential. Because you look up next year, they're back here again. They've already gone through spring ball. They've already gone through summer. They've already gone through fall camp. They've already gone through a season. And then they're back for spring, which is usually when most freshmen get their work, is in spring ball.
Is Lowell able to take a role in spring, or where is he at with his injury recovery?
He's about where we thought he'd be. He will not get much action. His ankle, it's a major injury, and it's a slow heal. And obviously he's frustrated. He wants it to be faster and quicker. But I'm in the long run with Lowell Narcisse. I mean, he is an unbelievable young man, and he's just a great human being. And I don't care how long it takes for his ankle to get well. I'm going to ride it out with him. I feel like, 1, we owe that to that kid, and 2, he is just he's worth it. He's that good of a player.
So he's able to do some individual stuff maybe, or is he just really not on the field much at all?
No, he can do some individual stuff. We're just going to be very, very careful with it and bring him along slow. I'm in a marathon, Lowell. I'm not in a sprint with him right now. It's just not time. He's played a lot of football. He's just been, that quarterback room has been y'all's history here at UTSA. I guess I'm a part of it now. I guess we're all in this thing together, right? It's amazing the amount of injuries that's gone through the quarterback position at this school, and we got to get that off of me, Ricky Bobby.
Well, along those same lines, I know you mentioned Frank Harris got his knee cleaned up a little bit. Is he 100% good to go for spring here?
I tell Frank all the time, when you're as old as Frank is, he never looks like he's 100%. I mean, Coach Johnston teases all the time when I speak to him at Clemens, Frank's always walked that way. He's always looked old. He's just wired so tight. He's so explosive. He's just gimped up quite a bit, but you'll never get Frank to tell you. I asked Frank today how his back was, and Frank's like, perfect, never better. I mean, that's just Frank. He's never going to tell you anything's wrong. But if you judge by the way he walks, you think he's broken. But it's just Frank. I mean, when it's time to go, he goes. He's a tough kid. I have unbelievable respect for him and Josh and Lowell, all three, just how they have just battled back. Josh and his collarbone, Frank his back and his knees, Lowell his ankle and knees. I mean, and they're great humans, man. They love the road runners. They love each other, and they're a blast to coach. Man. You know, JoJo, I've never seen a man miss 6 weeks of football, and he never had COVID. But he missed half the season because of contact tracing. So he's JoJo COVID weeks.
So I guess given that Frank is telling you he's okay, then he's full speed and good to go for everything as spring opens.
Yeah, he'll be out there rolling around. I couldn't keep him out if I tried. Every time I try to keep him out, he just goes anyway.
Do you have any other injuries or guys who are going to sit out spring for whatever reason?
Yeah, we do. I need to get Nick. I need to get studied up on that. I apologize. But yeah, we have some guys that are going to miss spring. I'll get that report and try to be ready, more prepared for that answer. I just don't want to misspeak. But we will have some guys miss spring.
Sure. And then last thing for me is the COVID protocol. How are you guys approaching that through this? How often are you testing, or what kind of precautions are in place for that?
Yeah, still, I don't know the exact number because I haven't been having to do it because of my COVID test being positive, right? So since I got to get going here, I guess my time's about up as well. So I know we're testing Monday morning, and I know we tested today. I know because I just remember reading the text, but I'll get that answer as well, how often we are. But, you know, Dan Bellamy has done a fantastic job of that this entire time. That's actually helped me in recruiting because these parents have heard about how great the UT health system is and the advantages we have here. And we have had some tremendous advantages. We get our results back faster than most people. We get tested with the finest people in the country. So it's amazing. I've been asked more about COVID on Zoom meetings than I have about what their major is going to be, which is different. But welcome to the new normal, right?
All right, Hector, you're up.
Coach, good morning.
Hi, Hector. How are you?
I'm doing well, Coach. Thank you. Question is along the lines of the expectations, which you've touched on already a little bit. Given that you've got the guys coming back, and given that you've talked about can our culture meet that expectation, do you verbalize actual, for lack of a better term, I guess, tangible things that you guys want to accomplish? Will you say to the guys, hey, look, there's no reason why we can't win if we stay healthy, the Conference USA West Division or the conference itself? Do you put those types of things out there to the team?
It's what we talk about the most because each one of us, Hector, has been giving, everybody on the screen has been given a different skill set. Are you doing the most of what you have? Only Hector knows that. Only Greg knows that. Only Chase knows that. I mean, only JJ knows. Are y'all doing the most of what you have, right? So that's where we live. That's the world we live in. We do feel like when we're at our very best, we can play with anybody. So what we say almost every day, somebody at UTSA is going to be the first team to ever win a conference championship and win a bowl game. Why not us? Why not us? Are we going to go out there? I use the analogy of the kids shooting the free throws at Abilene Christian to beat the Horns. Do you think when he went to the line of scrimmage, he was really like, oh my God, if I make these 2 free throws, we upset the Horns? No, he went up there, trusted his training, believed in his culture, and knocked those 2 shots down, which led them to win the game. You just got to be careful that if all you talk about is winning, and that's what your focus is all the time, you choke, for no better term. Your focus has to be, I'm going to be the best Greg I can be today. I'm going to be the best Hector I can be today. And I'm going to do that every day. And I'm going to keep stacking one great day on top of another great day. And when that moment comes, it's my time to shoot my free throws, I'm knocking them down. But that's an analogy, but that's an analogy we use every single day.
Gotcha, Coach. Thank you. Appreciate it.